Shael Risman here from Pace Technical. Just making sure that we've got a lot of people on today. It's great to see everybody again today. Thanks for joining us. We have a great webinar for you today. Nice and brief, but very pertinent. I hope everybody can hear us okay. Please let us know if not. We have our Q&A open. If you have any questions, please pipe in when you have an opportunity. Today we're talking about client retention in a COVID-19 world. Obviously, like I said, very, very pertinent issue today, where so many people are struggling, certainly to stay open. And those of us who are open, our clients have never been more important to us. Joining me today is our manager of client success, Anika Ahmed. Hi, Anika.
Hi, Shael. Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to try and walk you through this and at least talk to you a little bit about how we've seen some success in this area over the last little while. And certainly we want to try and share that with as many people as possible. It took us a long time and a lot of mistakes to get here. So join us. All right, I am going to stop my video. Nika, you should probably do it too so everybody can see what we're talking about. As long as they can still hear us, we're okay. All right, so we'll give you a little bit of document about PACE to start with. Certainly a lot of you probably know us by now, but this is us, and we've been in business over 20 years. We've been in proactive managed IT support for that long as well. Managed security, managed cloud solutions. We are proudly an ISO 9001:2015 certified company, and we have been on the Great Place to Work in Canada list for 5 years and running. That's probably the one that we're most proud of, 100%. Recent webinars that we have done, just to keep you in the loop, all available from our website. We've done IT emergency preparedness, working remotely and keeping your culture alive, COVID-19 cybersecurity threats, how to use Microsoft Teams and IT issues with working remotely, and of course, moving your entire organization to the cloud and the possibilities involved with that. You can see those at www.pacetechnical.com and the media drop-down menu, very easily seen. All right, you know us. We've already introduced ourselves. I am the CEO and co-founder of PACE with my partner Mike Shagru, who you've seen many times on these webinars, and of course, like I said, Anika, who is our valuable client success manager. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to talk a little bit about client retention and what it is, and try and gain an understanding of that, an understanding of who in your organization should handle it. And who has the most effective grasp on it. How do you look at it? How do you track it? Why is it important? And relating it directly to this pandemic that we're experiencing now in COVID-19. And we're going to review our most important strategies at PACE, and we're going to tie it into how we deal with things as well, so that we have some real-time comparison. And again, our QA session is certainly open. If you have questions, feel free to jump in and ask a question. And if we don't get to it during the session, we'll certainly get to it afterwards. All right, so what is client retention? So essentially, Wikipedia says it's the activity that an organization undertakes in order to reduce customer defection. It's pretty simple. Successful customer retention starts with the very first contact an organization has with a customer and continues throughout the entire lifetime of that relationship. One of the recent articles in B2C World, an approach to increase customer retention and loyalty, in B2C world, a company's ability to attract and retain new customers is not only related to its product or services, but strongly related to the way it services its existing customers and the reputation it creates within and across the marketplace. So essentially, it's all about not just getting the client. That's a whole other thing. It's about keeping the client. And certainly in our industry, which is a service-first industry, it is unbelievably important to keep the present client base that we have, because bringing in a new client base always has its challenges. So who handles it in the organization? This is really a simple question and a simple answer for us. Everybody does. Some people have more responsibility, some people directly affect it, but I would actually go so far as to say that everybody directly affects it. Client retention is a KPI at Pace that everybody watches, that everybody is responsible for, because it's everybody's bread and butter. It contributes to salaries, it contributes to anything that we're doing. It is not a one-person job, it's a team. So it takes an effort across the entire organization. But Drew Donaldson, who's a very, very well-known strategist at a company called Grow House, said that there are three primary groups that play an integral role in retention: sales, marketing, and service delivery. And it's funny because I guess that kind of really just encompasses everybody at this point. So the questions that we end up asking within our own organization is marketing addressing the pain points? And during COVID, those pain points are different than during any other period of time. So obviously, whereas during a normal time, certainly a certain amount of support is necessary for a product, but during COVID, those elemental support tickets may not be as important as getting an entire organization up remotely to be able to work. So in our context, we need to be able to address that with the marketing team and make sure that we're heading out to the general public and letting them know that those are the things that we're taking seriously and moving forward with, because that's at the top of their minds. Is the sales team able to demonstrate the value? Well, that's in managed services, that is the be all and end all. And it's certainly with Pace, where client experience is everything that we do. We work hard, and our sales team certainly works hard to be able to demonstrate the value. In order to do that in a COVID world, you need to be able to isolate those major issues that have bubbled to the top of your clients' psyches. You need to be able to identify those, and that's where you'd be able to glean value. How can you affect those new pain points, and how do we affect those new demands? That's how we put the value where it needs to be. And is your product or service solving the client problem? It's exactly the same kind of thing. Priorities have changed for everybody, and if you're focusing on the same priorities and service deliverables that you were before COVID, you're missing the boat. You're asking for attrition, clients leaving at that point. We have to keep updated. We have to address the important things in there. As we said, client retention is a massively important thing, certainly for Pace. Best way to track it is by calculating our retention rate. And we do that quarterly, just to make sure we know where we are. There's no one formula. You can Google this, and there's about 20 different ways of looking at it, but here's what we use, and it's taken from a post that Jeff Hayden, who's another strategist in the industry, actually in business industry in general, who made this post on Inc.com about 7 or 8 years ago. And he calls it the customer retention rate, and it's a formula. CE minus CN divided by CS times 100. For those of you who can't remember algebra, which is 40 years ago away from me, let's look at it this way. CE, if you're looking at it from, let's say you're going to look at it from 2019, so January 2019 to December 2019. The CE is the number of customers at the end of the period. How many customers do you have in December of 2019? Then CN, which is the number of new customers acquired during this period. This is very straightforward. How many new clients did you get between January and December of 2019? And CS is the number of customers that you started with. And just to use us as an example, if you look at 2019, we started with 51 clients across the Greater Toronto area. And that's our CS number. That's the new clients. That's the number of clients that we had at the start of the period. By the end of the year, we had 60 new clients. We had 60 clients, which is CE. Three clients, not of those, but 3 clients in general had their contracts canceled for whatever reason, M&A, There's any number of different reasons, but 3 had canceled their contracts, and we brought on 13 new clients during that period. So we filled those numbers in according to Hayden's formula, and what we come up with is a 94% retention rate. We are very proud of that number. Our industry is relatively happy in general with 85%. And you're doing your job basically really well at 85%. That's what the industry tells you. We don't see it that way. Our goals are 5%, and that's with retention across the board, even if for things we can't control, mergers and acquisitions, that kind of stuff. So we actually missed it a little bit by 2019. We were at 94 rather than 95%. But you can always do better. We're always transparent about it. And we will continue to do that. But that's where our retention rate is. And that's really important because you can start to see as that number goes down, if you compare it to last year, you can start to see where COVID would affect you and affect your business. So feel free to kind of go back and do that calculation because, again, it is a KPI that we look at very closely here at PACE to make sure that we are doing the right things at the right period of time. And don't just leave it for a year. We do it quarterly to make sure that we are at the top of mind with our clients. Retaining clients is important for the long-term success of your business because it's far more expensive and difficult to get a new client than it is to retain a current one. Anybody out there in business, that's business 101. I don't have to tell anybody that. It just costs a whole lot more to get a new client. So keeping your clients, especially when you are consistently delivering a service to them like we are, is far less expensive and therefore far more important to you. Signal Mind reports that the probability of a sale from a new customer is only 5 to 20%, whereas probability of converting an existing client to buy more from you is between 60 and 70%, mostly because of the trust and relationship, reliability, efficiency, productivity that you've built with these clients. That's an average of 33% more than new customers. Again, showing the importance of what client retention does for you. So I alluded to this before, but client retention is especially important now as the pandemic has caused consumers to kind of pull back on spending and reconsider how, and where they spend their money. It is, the government has had to jump in and fund a lot of people just to keep them running. They're not out there spending the same amount of money that they were before. This makes it very challenging to recruit first-time buyers, resulting in a greater need to kind of keep the customers you have already. And to keep revenue flowing. So these two foundations of customer loyalty, which PACE has built itself on, which are trust and confidence, are being put to the test. While obviously this is going to be temporary, we're going to get back to some level of normalcy, even if it's not exactly the same as it was before. Anxiety is very high and people are scared. And Anika, maybe you can speak to this. I know I'm kind of throwing it out quickly to you on this, but what is your experience with our client base right now as far as what they see as being important, maybe as comparison to what they were seeing to being important before?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely been different. I feel like right now clients are in a very vulnerable place, not just with work, but in their personal life. So I feel like having someone reach out to them, not just to talk about work and not just to talk about a vendor that they're connected with, to actually reach out and find out how they're doing, how they're feeling, because COVID is such a personal thing to everyone that we're all experiencing. I think that's something that I found a lot of clients are opening up to me a lot about, wanting to kind of take their mind off things and maybe just connect on a human level. I feel like that's made a big impact.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm seeing the same thing. In fact, that's coming up a little bit later in the presentation as one of the more important things that we've been seeing as well. That kind of human contact, I think, especially when people aren't able to even touch each other, really, at the end of the day, just becomes that much more important. So here's a kind of look at what we see as important at Pace, and what has worked for us in keeping our client base. You may have noticed that when we were talking and promoting this event for people, we have been, and certainly Anika can come on and brag about this as much as she wants. We have 99% client satisfaction.
99.6.
99.6. There you go. 99.6 client satisfaction. Do we know what the number of responses to surveys that is?
So we average around 280, I would say, in the last like 30 days.
Okay, so we're talking about a good 25% of people respond to the surveys that we send off of every ticket and tell us how we're doing. So we're seeing a 99.6% CSAT, client satisfaction. Again, another KPI that we take very seriously. Certainly, Anika and her team build their entire process around it. So we've been seeing that 99%. As well, we have retained 99% of people, of clients. And so here's the top 8 or 9 things that we have found success with. Emotional engagement is always more important and powerful than rational satisfaction. Certainly, Anika just dealt with this. And we know this for a fact because Gallup has shown that engaged business-to-business customers that become trusted advisors and deliver a client impact or result, they see 50% higher revenue of sales, 34% higher profitability, and 63% lower customer attrition. So you see these people aren't just out to sell as many, certainly it's part of what they do, but not just out to sell as many widgets or pieces of service as they can. These are people who have established themselves as making an impact on the client, on the way that they do business, which is something that we have built our business around. Between our client strategists and our client success departments, our motivation is to deliver an end result to the client base that is far superior to anything else that they would receive, and will impact their business. And that's why we have seen the retention level that we have. Gallup also finds that leveraging our organization's purpose can substantially enhance your client stickiness. So when clients are aligned with the brand's purpose, they give that brand twice as much new business as customers who aren't necessarily aligned. I apologize for my dog barking, but that's the way it is when you're working from home. Live seminars are great. Anyway, so basically, looking at your mission statement and your purpose, using engagement and purpose as a prism through where your decisions are being made, it reduces the number of choices you have to make, right? It actually, some people would say that engagement and purpose might make it more complex to start thinking about those things when you're trying to make a decision regarding your client. But at the end of the day, frankly, it makes it easier because all decisions can be made around engagement and purpose and not taking into consideration anything else. That's the more important part of what we do, is the personal part that Anika was talking about before. And if you make decisions around that, it suddenly becomes a whole lot easier to retain a client. Communicating your company's value. This is something that Pace does all the time. We're always talking to our clients about the value that we have to our existing customers and sharing other clients' experience with the clients so that they know how we're impacting other people as well. Maybe they're not taking, maybe this client is not taking advantage of what we're offering. Maybe that's because we haven't pushed it hard enough, or maybe because we haven't done our job making it available for them to see, but certainly that's our focus. Instead of filling inboxes with generic emails about how we're all in this together, that for me is kind of a pet peeve right now, because I don't find anything more trite or insipid than a car company that has a commercial that tells us that we're all in this together. It just comes across as disingenuous, and it doesn't work, especially when everybody is doing. You don't want to be on that board. You don't want to jump on that ship. You want to limit your communication to valuable insights that can help people during this time of need. What we've been doing is we've been trying to put together webinars that are immediately accessible and that are pertinent to what people are thinking about in their businesses right now. You look back and you see some of the stuff that we're putting out there doesn't even have to do with IT. This doesn't have to do with IT, this webinar. We're trying to hit people on a level that shows them how we are contributing to how we're impacting their business and their end result. It's not disingenuous. Our mission statement at PACE for 20 years has been based around the fact that we are dedicated to providing a better quality of business life for our clients based on their technical experience. So written into our 20-year mission statement is that exact thing. Providing valuable resources is a great way to remind your customers that you're there to help them. So use your time to promote the why behind your company. What's your mission statement? Why are you doing what you're doing? And connect your customers with your company mission. One of the things that I talk about with our team on a regular basis, weekly, is that we're not just a company that fixes computers or monitors networks, because that's not what we come to work for every day. Certainly people come to work for a paycheck, but at the end of the day, that's not what motivates them. What motivates them is making an impact on the clients, is making their lives and their experience with their technology better, so that makes their own company more productive and their own company more efficient and more successful. So that is the why that you need to push out to your own client base. Have them understand why you're doing what you're doing and what the value is to those clients. It makes you a lot stickier to people. You want to talk a lot about your company history, your commitment to your employees and your clients, and any sustainability efforts or charities that you've supported. It really builds loyalty and support when you give examples of your own community support and community centricness. We're not talking about blowing your own horn or what they're called virtue signaling and that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about encouraging that kind of behavior, and your clients being encouraged about that kind of behavior, to know that they're engaging with a company that is completely on board when it comes to this. Pivot your products and services as needed. This is critical. You saw a lot of it we've got some clients specifically who do a lot of promotional wear, shirts, hockey jerseys, that kind of stuff. This is just an example. And that they pivoted towards PPE immediately and other needs specific to people who are looking for COVID-19 addresses. And that's how they marketed it. And they're seeing success from doing that. A great way to stand out amongst your competitors at this time is by assessing how your business can actually pivot to address a greater concern or need. So instead of trying to sell the product or the service that is currently irrelevant to customers, what was relevant in February is not relevant anymore in April, May, and June. Analyze what you can do differently to meet customers and consumers where they are now and address their immediate concerns. We have certainly tried to keep that going. We immediately started setting up to provide more remote access. We started giving webinars on Microsoft Teams so more and more people could deal with this. And that's how we kind of pivoted to try and let people know that we were able to address this part of it for them. Number 4, we're offering virtual products or services. Pivoting your product or service may mean offering it virtually. Technology like medicine or telemedicine or video conferencing software, it's made it possible. We all know this now. People, Zoom, I don't have to tell you what the value of Zoom has been during this period for many businesses to continue connecting with their existing clients. It's unbelievably important. So you want to try and take advantage of that. Is there any way that you can deliver the product or service that you're delivering? Is there any way that you can do that virtually? One of the best examples I've seen of this, I was reading about it last week, is some hairstylists have started offering virtual services over video chat, walking their clients through DIY haircuts. I think it's hysterical. It's working. It's a value. It gives people a means of venting. It gives people some control over their lives when there is no control over their lives. No, we know the results aren't going to be 100%, certainly, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You're adding value. You're showing a result. You know, how can you, if hairstylists who have to actually touch their clients to give their value can do this, anybody can do it. You've just got to sit down with your team and figure out how that is. We have a related article on our website called Pivoting Your Business in Response to COVID-19, so feel free to check that out. Number 5, we want to create helpful content. Publishing online content can bring you to the top of the customer's mind. We already know that by the amount of attention that we're getting from the webinar series that we've been doing. The key here is to create content that's helpful. Don't just throw the same content out there that everybody else is flowing. You want to offer content to teach clients something that solves their current needs. So you want to, consider hosting online events or live video streams to connect with your community and keeping them engaged. We do this as Pace, and it's very easy to do for anybody. Find what it is that your clients need and put it into content. It can be informational, like we hope this is. It can be entertaining, like we hope this is, so that at the end of the day, you can see and your clients can see the value that you're providing to them. Again, the takeaway from this is what is important to people now. Don't go back and look at other things that you presented in the past. None of that is relevant anymore. So this client, like we said, this could be informational as well as entertaining, so it's all good. Increasing your presence on social media. Social media plays an integral role in consumerism, and now looking back on this, I really wish that we would have maybe invited Mel to come on this call with us, Mary Ellen, who's our marketing coordinator, that she can really speak to this. Since your customers are already scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on a record-breaking in a record-breaking way, you want to really get on and be part of that. Create engaging social posts across your various social channels. You want to be able to brand yourself, and even people who don't necessarily think that social media doesn't affect their business that much. Frankly, you're wrong. You can't come into 2020 and be thinking that way, especially when everybody is online right now because there's nothing else to do. You want to bring your brand to the top of the news feeds. Businesses should be posting at least once every other day and should interact with customers by answering comments and responding to direct message requests. We have a dedicated resource, like I said, our marketing coordinator, Mary Ellen, who is committed to engaging people on this. And we have seen great success with this. And not just talking again about regular IT and technical issues and promoting webinars. We're out there showing solidarity with existing issues that are happening all over the world, and we want to make sure that we're taking a stand where we need to take a stand as a company ethically. It's very important to us. So all of these things are really, really important to how clients see you, and doing it online makes a massive difference because, like I said, everybody is already online. Adding a personal touch. This is something that we love to do. Remember that COVID-19 has personally impacted your clients on multiple levels. This is what Anika was talking about. So as you speak to your customers, create messaging that is personal and compassionate. Fairbanks said that business owners can deliver personal touches through handwritten cards, customized emails, check-in phone calls to see how their customers are doing. At Pace, we have had, one of the things we've done is have a COVID task force. So we have some people from client success and from service delivery and from the technology and projects department all together talking about what we can do and how our clients are doing on a regular basis, on a personal level. certainly Anika can speak more to this as well. Anika, part of your job, what you do is to kind of keep an eye on clients and do check-in phone calls with people. Is there a frequency that you do that with, or do you concentrate on some people more than others?
Yeah, good question. I think one of the things that we go over in our COVID task force meetings is identifying which clients might need a little bit more touch right now, and which ones are doing okay and might just be business as usual. And that kind of helps us identify which clients we need to reach out, maybe weekly, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly. So it's not like all of our clients getting the same service. We're really trying to cater our service to their needs and what they're going through.
Right. Exactly. This is exactly what we've been talking about the entire time. Are you finding that people are more interested in engaging with check-ins, or are they fighting back a little bit?
You know what? I'm going to say the former. They're a lot more talkative, a lot more chatty. I feel like people are really missing that human interaction. And so now when I call clients to check in, our conversations will often trail off into personal stuff. They'll hear my dog barking in the background, and I've had so many conversations about people with their dogs, and I've gotten to know about clients on a personal level, which sometimes even, forms into a work discussion or an IT discussion.
Sure. How do you think the personal, like what you're saying is, more personal conversation is, I guess, that it can lead into a better relationship with the client, and that affects your business relationship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, before COVID, I might have had clients where we only really talked about the issue at hand. We might have only talked about a ticket or a project that was going on, whereas now we're getting to talk a lot more personal, and I find clients are a lot more engaging, and maybe they're more free and want to take that opportunity to talk a bit more. And so I've had discussions with clients where just in personal conversations, they'll let me know how maybe disconnected they feel from their team. And I'm also saying how I miss my team. And that rolls into hey, we're doing training courses. We have these available for you now. And we've seen a lot of clients kind of jump on that just through these personal conversations that we've had. That's
a great point. And like you've been saying, this entire time, it leads to a better business relationship when people can have that closeness with somebody. And you don't necessarily need to have, we have you, and we're extraordinarily lucky to have that, but you don't need, depending on your size, not everyone has the resources to have a dedicated person, or in our case, a dedicated team of people dealing with client success. This can be done by literally the ownership of the company. It can be dealt with by sales or marketing, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone that's talking to the clients, even our support team, when they're working with clients on a ticket, just taking a moment to just check in and see how they're doing on a personal level really opens up our clients in discussions that might not have happened before. And all of that kind of adds to a better business relationship. Now I have clients that might not have reached out to me in the past for certain things, and they feel more comfortable now because I've gotten to know them, and that opens up a whole other realm of discussion on how to better their business experiences too.
I will tell you this, thank you for that. All of that is completely pertinent. And I'm going to talk a little bit about you for a second, because when we did this jump into client success ourselves in our continued effort to kind of keep our client experience at top of mind with our own customers, we brought Anika in, who did not have any technical, vast technical experience by any stretch of the imagination, but she did have a ton of. It's okay, Anika. We all understand that. I speak for myself as well, but she had a ton of experience in hospitality and retail. And those are the people that you want out there dealing with your clients face to face and talking about those kind of things. They are unbelievably well trained. They don't have to have the knowledge of your industry. They can learn about it. And certainly Anika did. But it's important to have someone who has a great personal touch doing client success and establishing these relationships. You see way more success and benefits when you do that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna actually jump in there and say, good point. I think a lot of our clients are like me. They're not the most technical. And so when they're talking to Pace, I think it helps having someone that's kind of on the same level. They're able to talk about it in more of a human term and what it means to their business in their eyes. And then I can act as a link to be able to communicate with my team and get the IT perspective and kind of build it that way.
Absolutely. And that leads us right into this next number, with number 8, which is, auditing and adjusting the client experience, which is essentially your job, Anika, is making sure that we are not just, here's our policy and our procedure, our process for auditing customer experience. It's going back and looking and seeing, is this way of evaluating client experience applicable to COVID-19? Like, have you had to make any specific changes in what you do to gauge client experience during COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we've been, our COVID task force meetings have been really helpful in kind of taking all the aspects in terms of where they're at in terms of seat count and how, even just simply how we feel when we talk to the client. Do we feel like we enjoy talking to them? That makes a big difference too. During COVID, people are really stressed out. A lot of our clients are going through hard times. Do they feel comfortable reaching out to us and talking to us? Or do they feel like PACE is just another expense that they have to worry about? It's really just kind of focusing on showing that value to our clients and why we're there working with them in a partnership form instead of just two different companies working together.
Absolutely. What you said about expense just being another line in the expense sheet is exactly right. We've been because we've taken this so seriously, we've been very lucky in that we were talking about 99% retention during this time. It's because our clients understand the value we bring them. So we end up being at the top of the list where they're, cutting expenses. They're not cutting their support from PACE for this exact reason. We're bringing the result that they need to see to be able to do their jobs properly. So you want to, again, personally, like Anika was saying, personally engage with the clients to see how you can help streamline your service and improve their experience in a custom way. Maybe there's specific things that we can do for a specific client rather than for everybody. Getting that kind of feedback from a client, like, if you have clients in the travel industry who are being really hard hit, hearing the experience of one company in the travel industry can help you with your other companies in the travel industry. And that builds value and results for those people. It's cascading. So really audit and adjust your client experience. What we're all saying during this entire thing, and we leave ourselves about 15 minutes to deal with some questions about this, is just like your clients are enduring massive upheaval. We're all enduring massive upheaval, believe me, but all of us are. It's sometimes hard to remember that all of us are when you're so knee deep in your own junk that you can't remember that everyone is kind of mired in this now. They're making difficult decisions as well for their businesses. Who can be trusted? Who's going to help them make things better? Who's going to keep their promises? And, when this crisis is going to be behind us, as it surely will be, clients are going to remember the organizations that not only kept their rational needs satisfied, kept their support in our case, keeping support tickets done and resolutions done in a timely manner, making sure people are out doing their jobs, being as proactive, keeping our proactivity up, our proactive activity up when we can't necessarily be on site. But besides those rational needs, it's those of us that are genuinely meeting their emotional needs as well. And I know it sounds a bit airy-fairy, but man, 99% retention during COVID speaks for itself. We are incredibly humbled and proud of that. If you're meeting their emotional needs, or at least trying your hardest to meet their emotional needs at this time, it leads directly to adding value in a business sense. And that's our experience with this. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's don't be shy about transparency with the client, and don't be shy to engage them emotionally, because it leads to a much more beneficial relationship for both of you. All right, so let's open it up. If you have any questions or concerns for us, let's open it up and see where we stand. Besides customer service, there we go. Besides customer service activities, check-in calls, surveys, that kind of stuff, how are you using your customer success role? Anika, you can probably speak to that a little better than I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gist of it really is to make customer support proactive instead of reactive. So, you know, seeking out areas of opportunity or areas of weaknesses in the service before it affects the clients, and going through our internal processes, you know, internal tools, and seeing where we can make that process a bit more of a better experience for our clients. I think that's probably really the shortest way to put it. And that involves a lot of things. That we have a client success team. I have a team member who is on our intake calls. So when a client calls in, he's the first person they speak to, and he works with our team to get urgencies addressed. He's able to proactively go through all of our tickets and look out for clients that might have responded, that our guys might have missed. He's really just working along with our team to find which issues might need a bit more special attention. And again, our main goal is really just to help our clients see the value of PACE through our service. You know, they can go to any IT company and get that same sort of support with IT, but how was their experience along that way? Did they feel like they were heard? That was one of the things I think that helps big time, at least for our clients.
Yeah, again, a great point is the entire journey. One of the things that you track very closely is the journey that they take from like you said, from when the phone is answered or a ticket comes in, right to when they get their survey for the end of the ticket. We watch every single thing that happens on both ends, from the client end and our end, to see if it worked out for them. Another question: can you discuss more examples of client outreach strategies that can work consistently in other industries? I mean, we have really dealt with those things, certainly in this presentation. You know, social media is incredible in getting a message out there. I guess what you're asking is about more specific outreach strategies to clients. For us, our COVID response team has been talking about trying being as positive as possible and talking to clients about what's worked for them. Not necessarily what's not worked for them, because we don't necessarily want to dwell on it. Most of the times those will come up anyway. But if you go to the client base and really find out what has worked for people and then share it with the rest of the client base, it's invaluable information to have, and that's where we've started to see some real headway in the industry. So ask your own clients, you know, about their specific experience, and then use that with the rest of your clients. Does it make a significant difference having a client success person or team, or can customer service utilize some of these retention strategies and incorporate them into your job? I think this is what we were saying before. Absolutely, they can. You don't require a dedicated client success person. We have put that in place because of the level of importance that it is on what our mission is and what our vision is for the company, which is client experience. But any customer service, Nika, you can probably speak to this too. Mm-hmm. Any customer service person who answers a phone or answers a ticket would also be able to use these retention strategies. This is not necessarily dedicated to like having a dedicated client success resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone talking to your clients can make client success or support proactive, and that's all it really comes down to is reaching out to our clients, finding out their needs, finding out how we can help them, you know, before they have to come to us with a problem. And so anyone talking to our clients, I'm sure, can find that out and focus on that and find out different ways that we can help our clients before they have to come to us with an issue.
Awesome. Yeah. Probably one of the more important things that we've talked about certainly today is that it's not out there it doesn't have to be just client success that's reaching out. Everybody can do it. A great question here: how many times should we reach out to our clients to build that relationship with them? This is a great question, and it will have kind of an interesting answer to it, because everything is kind of touch and go, right? Some people don't want to be bothered and just want to get their stuff done. Other people want you to check in with them more often than not. Our client success team, and again, Anika can speak to this, gauges each customer and client differently as far as how that level of engagement is. Certainly reaching out every day and asking how things are going is just going to drive people crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Anika likes, when she makes those phone calls or makes those email contacts with people, wants to have some kind of issue or question available to ask, rather than calling in and just asking how things are going. Right, Anika?
Yeah, exactly. I would say it took me a few months, up to maybe even a year, to really understand which clients are either high touch, low touch, which ones need more hand holding, and which ones are fine and will like to only reach out to you when they need you. There was definitely difficult conversations where clients didn't really understand, what the purpose was, and I'll reach out to Anika if I need you, and it takes a little bit of time to get there, and getting to know your clients really well. That's my number one advice, is really get to know each and every client, even the low touch ones, because then you'll get to know how to interact with them in a way that works best for them. And yeah, definitely it's not a cookie cutter approach. You definitely need to make it specific to your client's needs.
Yeah, very well said. That there's nothing more important than customizing it. This kind of shared experience is not shared with everybody. So, you want to be able to get more of an understanding about how that works. Do you keep a budget for sending cards and gifts? This is relatively personal to your business. I would say budgeting is definitely, in general, a very good thing to do. And one of the things that Anika does is be innovative about these kind of things. Certainly we have a budget to make sure that we are in a place to kind of reward our clients and provide them with value added things that make sense to them. But certainly, Anika, your focus has always been on what value can we provide that's beyond the monetary value.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you know, we like to go on site and see our clients in person. This is still fairly a new role, so getting our clients face to face and having them meet the client success department in person has been really helpful. And when we do that, I'll usually go out with a Tim's card and pick up some treats, and something as simple as that. It's really just the action versus the monetary amount. Something as simple as just buying a bunch of donuts for the company and visiting, and just having your presence known that, hey, I'm here concerned about the service and concerned about how you guys feel about us. If there's something that we need to work on, I'm your person. I think that goes a long way, just letting the clients know that there's someone there looking out for at least that aspect of the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, without question, certainly, coming in with a dozen donuts to our organization makes a huge difference to the way you're perceived. We've got a couple of clients that actually come in every time they come in to visit, whether it's to talk about strategy or to pick up something. We'll always bring treats in for the support staff, and I'm certainly not saying that affects our level of support and resolution time, but it is a good motivator for our team. It truly is. We mentioned earlier about being transparent with clients as a retention strategy. Can you elaborate on that a little? Absolutely. I mean, every time I've done webinars like this, and I've done a lot of industry things as well, we're in, IT is an industry where client experience and customer service is not necessarily, I don't have to tell anybody this, if you've called Rogers or Bell or any of those providers, it isn't always the greatest experience in the world. So Pace's client experience is above and beyond, and I say this as humbly as I possibly can, any other technical company. And so we are asked to speak a lot about this at industry events. So that being said, one of the things I always talk about is being transparent with the client. as much as you possibly can, and sometimes that can hurt a little bit. You know, you want to be accountable. You want to talk about mistakes that have been made, and more importantly than the mistakes that you've made, you want to talk about how those got taken care of. And I had someone raise their hand during one of these things in the past and ask me and say, well, you know, like, if you're constantly telling people how you screwed up, you're never going to get any clients. And my answer was concise. Like, if you're constantly telling people how much you screwed up, you got a whole other set of issues. The idea is not to be messing up and be fixing yourself all the time. That is the idea. So it becomes a non-issue. You know, you don't have to talk about you don't have accountability issues. Let's talk about that. The more accountable and transparent you are to your clients, the more they will stay with you. The only thing I will say about this is go out and find, like I said in every other webinar like this that I've done, go out and find Getting Naked by Patrick Lencioni. It's a book called Getting Naked. I know it's a weird title, but it talks all about this and the success you will have talking about specifically transparency and how it affects your bottom line, frankly. Would you recommend continuing support for organizations that are struggling and unable to cover the expense of outsourced IT, in hopes that when they recover, they will remain a client? Oh, absolutely. You know, we are trying to do the best we possibly can to accommodate, you know, emergency and urgent situations. I encourage other people to do that as well. These will be the things that people remember. We of course attach it to, you know, how many people have been laid off, if that's happened, or, you know, you can't just take a hard line. If you're able to deliver, if you know, the amount of people that are being served directly, in Pace's case, the amount of people that are being served are directly related to the cost that it costs us for delivering our service. So we take a very serious look at that, and we will examine it and figure it out. We have insight into how many people are at the you know, working for the organization, because we see how many people are using the system. So we leverage that to make sure that we're on top of it with people all the time. And we did have a couple of occasions, certainly during this time, where clients came to us and say, hey, this is an issue. We need to deal with it. And we dealt with it. It's temporary. Most of those clients got the help they needed from the government, certainly, and they're heading back into the right direction. So it was very temporary. And man, for the amount of money it costs us to do that, the goodwill is incredible. And, you know, you're being a human being at the end of the day. So really, there is nothing more to it than that. And with that, I want to make sure, first of all, I want to apologize on the barking and all that other stuff that was going on here. Life doesn't stop when you're on a webinar, but certainly it's been a pleasure sharing this with you. Anika, thank you for hopping on with me at short notice so that we could talk about this, you know, this passion we have for client success together, making sure that people understand it. And if you have any further questions, certainly you can email them to me directly, which is Shael@pacetechnical.com. You can get to Anika at Ahmed@pacetechnical.com. If you're looking to book a meeting with us, please get in touch with Mike at pacetechnical.com. And for any of the latest cybersecurity news and content, make sure you visit our website at pacetechnical.com so that we can, this is changing all the time. There's a ton of new cybersecurity threats out there that are threatening people in a COVID-19 manner, and I know that our research team is working on stuff like that to make that available to you. So come back and check that on a regular basis. Again, thank you very much for being with us today, and have yourselves a great day, and we will see you next time.